Today I want to talk about the Treasury auctions, but I want to refer to the video that I have pinned here. It's number one there. It's about the SIFIs and the banks with our Treasury auctions. So I'll just briefly restate what's going on. The Federal Reserve is trying to get the banks to up their capital requirements for treasuries, okay? So in other words, they want more capital, saying buy more treasuries. They're fighting this tooth and nail. In fact, as you'll see in there, they sent a letter. They want a new kind of ratio, SLR ratio, where they put up no money to buy treasuries, none. And they literally threatened the Fed and the Treasury and the comptroller of the currency that if you don't give us this, we're not going to participate. The second thing is we have SIFIs. These are systemically important financial institutions, big hedge funds, private equity, and so forth. They also participate in these offerings. And the Fed wants them to have capital requirements. And the SIFIs are going absolutely crazy over this. There's no way they want to do this. So this is kind of theoretical. Why don't we look at what it actually means and why they're fighting so hard? So first, we issued $7 trillion in the first quarter, okay? 7. This is obviously a record, and we're not done yet, okay? Second, we're moving up on every maturity that we bring out for the Treasury. So as you can see, every single one of them is up, and the Treasury, the Fed, has told us that they're going to do more in the 2-year and the 5-year than they're going to do in the long end, and you can see how they're doing that. So the first thing we want to do here is go through who are the players in a auction. We have our primary dealers. These are the dealers that are designated by the U.S. Treasury. These are the people who no longer want to have any reserve requirements, okay? There are big G-SIBs, right? Globally, systemically important banks, right? They're like, we don't want to have anything to do with it. Then you have a direct bidder. These are the people like the SIFIs who bid directly for themselves. Why do SIFIs want this? Well, you know, treasuries have the biggest release rate when you borrow against them, or the smallest haircut, depending on, same thing, just different way of saying it. Then you have indirect buyers. As you can see, these are government entities or whatever, and they go in through the primary dealers to make their bid. And I just want to point out that we have different kinds of bids, okay? We have competitive bids. These are, you know, the banks and the SIFIs. And then we have what they call a FEMA bid, which is a foreign institutional bid, okay? And you can read the description here all you want, all right? That's not what we're concentrating on. So here's a breakdown of one of the auctions here on April 17th, it looks like. So whatever it is, doesn't matter what the yield is, but we're concentrating down here on the last lines here. So you can see the first one is what's tendered. These are where people bid. Doesn't mean they're going to get them or anything, they bid on them. What we want is this accepted down in the bottom. So you see the primary dealers took down 30 billion, okay? The direct bidders took down 5.3 billion, and the indirect bidders took down 22.8 billion, so a total of $59 billion. So what do we care about? Or let's put it this way, what do the G-SIBs and the SIFIs care about? Well, take the 30 billion and minus the 22 billion, and you come out to about $8 billion. That means that after the auction is over, the primary dealers are still owning $8 billion, and guess what? You have to have reserves against them, okay? And then you look down at the SIFIs, they brought in 5.3 billion, and they're doing that with no bids. They just show up and say, hey, give me the treasuries, okay? And the Fed says, no, you need to have an account where you have money in it so that we know that you have the capital, and so thereby we can count on your bids. So this is telling us that the Fed is worried about issuance. They want these people to have designated capital so they have money to buy each government issuance. Now listen, You go online, you go to the Treasury News and you look at this. Let me tell you something, up comes a list. This comes out almost every day. Whether it's a 2-year, 5-year, 10-year, it doesn't matter. The 30-year came out last week. Every single day, that $8 billion adds up. So like we say in the previous video that you should go watch, is that the banks, they make money off of their capital, and treasuries are capital intensive, especially the auctions, and there's very little return to the banks. And they don't want that. They want to go give it out where they can buy, triple D, F rated CLOs and make more money than buying US treasuries. So please make any comments, ask any questions, like and follow, and thank you for listening.